Welcome, fellow dreamer. Tonight, I invite you to journey with me into the graceful world of feudal Japan, to walk beside me through a day of quiet ceremony, gentle preparation, and the joining of two lives beneath paper lanterns and silent cherry blossoms. Together, we'll witness a traditional wedding as it might have unfolded centuries ago, from the careful arrangement of silks and incense to the solemn sips of sake that seal the bond before family and spirits alike. This is a story of ritual, beauty, and devotion, a glimpse into a world where honor, harmony, and symbolism guided even the most intimate moments of life. I hope these images and words will carry you peacefully into rest. Before we begin, take a moment to dim the lights, settle into a comfortable place, and let yourself drift gently into the rhythms of a time when every movement held meaning. I created this video to help you relax, unwind, and fall softly into sleep, while discovering the timeless traditions that shaped generations long before our own. And I'd love to know, where in the world are you listening from tonight? Let me know in the comments below. It's always a joy to see how these quiet stories connect dreamers around the globe. If you enjoy this peaceful walk through history, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and tap the bell icon so you'll always have a place to return when you're ready to fall asleep to the stories of the past. Now, close your eyes, take a deep breath, and let our journey through a wedding in feudal Japan begin. You awaken to the soft creak of shoshi doors sliding open. Outside, a muted winter sun glows behind paper walls, casting long dappled patterns across the tatami mat. The stillness is deliberate. No servants rush. No idle chatter drifts through the corridors. The house is silent, except for the quiet clink of water being poured in the adjoining room. On this day, everything has been arranged with care. Every movement must carry the weight of centuries of tradition. You are to be married, and this house, your family's estate, nestled in the snowy hills outside Edo, has been preparing for weeks. Your body stirs beneath layers of silk and cotton. The futon has been slightly elevated and freshly laundered, the edges tucked with unusual precision. A subtle aroma of incense lingers, sandalwood and plum blossom lit early this morning to purify the space. As you sit upright, your attendants enter on silent feet, bowing deeply before speaking. They do not need to announce the time, you know. You have known since the hour the nakodo, the matchmaker, confirmed the date, since the messenger from your household bowed low and presented the gifts: folded cloth, preserved fish, ceremonial sake, and dried abalone, wrapped in brocade and tied with crimson and gold cords. The marriage is not a love match, not in the modern sense. But that is not unusual. In feudal Japan, especially within the ranks of the samurai class, marriage is a contract, a duty, and a strategic alignment. Love may come later, or not at all. What matters today is that two houses will be formally joined, families bound by custom, status, and obligation. As the son or daughter of a respected family, your role is not simply personal, it is political, ancestral, and sacred. Your attendants begin the morning rituals. A shallow, lacquered basin is brought forward, and warm water is poured over your hands. Your hair, if you are a bride, is carefully brushed and oiled, then styled in a manner befitting your class. High and sculpted, adorned with combs, pins, and kanzashi that shimmer with gold leaf and coral inlays. If you are the groom, your top knot has been freshly trimmed and tied in the traditional Chanmaj style, denoting both maturity and your samurai status. Your face is lightly powdered, not for vanity, but to signify clarity and purity on this most solemn of days. The garments are already waiting in the next room, laid out with reverence. If you are the bride, your underrobes are first. White silk, layered carefully, each fold smoothed by an attendant's practiced hands. Then comes the shiromuku, the white kimono worn for purity and humility. The long trailing hem will later be gathered by a maid as you walk. A white hood or waterboshi is placed gently over your head, a symbolic veil to mark your departure from one family and entry into another. Your reflection in the polished metal mirror, a relic passed through 3 generations, seems both familiar and foreign. If you are the groom, your Monsuki kimono is black with your family's crest printed in white on the back, chest, and sleeves. Over this, a hakama with vertical stripes is wrapped and tied, and a haori jacket is fitted over your shoulders. Everything is stiff, formal, heavy, with significance. You sit still as your obi is adjusted, not speaking unless addressed. The process is meditative, as if preparing for a rite of passage rather than a celebration. As you are dressed, you are reminded of your ancestors. Their portraits line the tokonoma alcove in the main room. Some gaze serenely from ink scrolls, others are remembered through calligraphy and family crests. Today, you honor them by following the path they laid down. Marriage in feudal Japan is not a private matter. It is the thread that continues the lineage. The joining of bloodlines is as important as the harvest or the loyalty to your daimyo. You are not only marrying a person, you are marrying into history. A breakfast of rice porridge and pickled plum is offered, but few can eat on a day such as this. Even if hunger tugs at the edges of your stomach, etiquette demands restraint. The body must be clean and composed. You sip warm tea, your eyes resting on the snow falling quietly in the garden. The pine branches, weighed down by frost, nod gently in the wind. The world is quiet, dignified, and utterly focused on the moment to come. Outside preparations continue under the careful supervision of both senior servants and family elders. The courtyard has been swept. Stones leading from the veranda to the gate have been washed and salted to prevent slipping. A decorative arrangement of pine, bamboo, and plum, the ketamutsu, has been placed at the entrance. A blessing of prosperity and longevity. Inside, red and white paper streamers flutter gently from beams, and lanterns with inked poems cast warm circles of light. In the main hall, where the Sansenkudo ritual will soon take place, a small altar has been erected complete with offerings to the kami, rice, sake, salt, and fruit. You are not permitted to see your future spouse yet. That meeting will come later, under ceremony. For now, you wait while guests begin to arrive, mostly relatives, a few high-ranking retainers, and perhaps a monk or Shinto priest, depending on your family's beliefs. The air carries a hushed expectancy, broken only by greetings exchanged in the entry hall. Footsteps echo against wooden floors. Sandals are removed and placed in neat lines. Names are called out in order of seniority. Soon, the Nakodo will arrive to oversee the final arrangements. It is this go-between who played a crucial role in forming the union, negotiating the terms, delivering messages, and smoothing over differences. Their presence today is a symbol of balance. They are neither family nor stranger, but a bridge, a witness to duty fulfilled. As the hour approaches, a final blessing is spoken over you by an elder. a whisper of hope and a plea for harmony. The phrase is old, worn smooth by repetition across generations. You bow deeply, placing your hands on the tatami, your forehead brushing the floor. This act of humility is not empty. It is the foundation upon which your new life will stand. Then, rising slowly, you make your way toward the ceremony room. The sliding doors open before you, revealing the candlelit hall. Faces turn. Incense curls through the air. The time has come. Your feet, covered in white tabi socks, move deliberately across the straw mats. Behind you, the attendants gather your train. Ahead, your future, and the life your families have prepared for you, waits in silence. Even as the day's formality edges closer, the household continues its dance of careful precision. Beyond the room where you've been dressed, a quiet flurry of activity fills the estate, yet none of it feels rushed. Feudal Japan has no tolerance for haste, especially on a wedding day. Instead, each movement, each whispered instruction, each bow and turn is deliberate. There is no panic, no scrambling. There is only order, centuries of it, passed down through generations of mothers, matchmakers, and matriarchs who understand the gravity of this day. Your immediate family has been preparing for weeks, sometimes months. The arrangement itself began far before today, well before even the official exchange of gifts. In your class, perhaps you are the daughter of a respected merchant family or the son of a minor samurai clan. Marriage is not simply between two individuals. It is a strategy, an alliance. Your match was reviewed by elders, discussed quietly among relatives, and eventually entrusted to the Nakado, the go-between who ensured negotiations unfolded smoothly. It was the Nakado who carried messages to and from your future spouse's household. In some cases, they even offered suggestions on suitable partners before formal introductions were made. Their role went far beyond matchmaking. They are mediators of status, behavior, and expectations. Even now, they walk through both homes like an honored ambassador, observing final details, correcting posture, adjusting ceremonial objects by inches. If something seems out of place, they are the one who ensures harmony is restored before the ceremony begins. Back in your family's quarters, elders offer their final words of advice, quietly, respectfully. You sit, legs folded beneath you, as an older aunt kneels beside you with a fan across her lap. She tells you of her own wedding decades ago, of how the fan she carries today was once gifted to her by her mother-in-law, and how she carried it through her own marriage and into widowhood. It is not simply a decoration. It is an heirloom filled with the weight of time. She passes it to you. The fan smells faintly of old lacquer and pressed plum blossoms. She smiles, then bows low before returning to her place near the wall. She will say no more. Elsewhere in the home, the formal bridal trousseau is being displayed for any guests permitted to view it. Even if your household is modest, there is pride in this tradition. The items are presented with careful attention. Boxes of lacquerware, hand-embroidered kimonos, folding screens, futon covers, and perhaps a few pieces of porcelain or silver. These objects represent your transition from one house to another, a silent declaration of the life you are about to begin. Each piece is polished and dusted, not because it will be used immediately, but because it reflects the household's preparedness and the family's respectability. The bride's family, especially if you are the bride, has taken great care with the formal kimono. The shiromuku, the all-white bridal ensemble, was stored in a wooden chest for weeks, protected from moisture and sunlight. It was unwrapped only this morning, checked meticulously for stains or loose threads. The white color signifies purity, not just in body, but in intention. It is a symbolic blank slate, denoting your willingness to take on the colors and customs of your husband's household. It is not meant to erase your past, but to signify your new beginning. If you are the groom, your own preparations have included meeting privately with your father or the senior male head of the house. This meeting may have happened yesterday or earlier this morning, away from the women and servants. There, you were reminded of your new responsibilities, not only as a husband, but as a representative of your family name. You were likely handed a symbolic item, a short sword, perhaps, or a folded letter containing family instructions. It is understood that the marriage you are about to enter will require your full sense of duty and restraint. Throughout the house, offerings are being quietly made to the ancestral altar. Plates of rice and small bowls of sake are placed before framed scrolls and family relics. Incense is lit. Heads are bowed. The living must remember the dead on such a day. It is believed that ancestors watch over the union and judge its purity. To dishonor the ceremony is to dishonor the entire lineage. In the kitchen, the preparation of ceremonial sake is underway. Bottles sealed days ago are now being carefully opened, the contents decanted into finely lacquered containers. The Sansankudo ritual will soon follow, and the sake must be presented without flaw. 3 flat ceremonial cups, or sakazuki, are placed on a low lacquered tray. They will be used in sequence, 3 sips from each, shared between bride and groom in a symbolic intertwining of lives. The sake is not merely a drink, it is a vow. Its sweetness and bitterness alike must be tasted together. Throughout the residence, younger family members are being kept at bay. Children are dressed in formal wear and reminded over and over to remain still, to speak only when spoken to, and to bow deeply when guests arrive. Servants are posted at every hallway turn, guiding arrivals to their designated seats and refilling tea as needed. The entire household has become a living organism, every person a carefully placed thread in the great weaving of this day. Soon, word arrives that the groom's party, or bride's party, depending on your side, is drawing near. If you are to be escorted from one household to another, the entourage is already assembling at the front gate. The air is tense, though no one says it aloud. Outside, the snow has stopped, and the clouds have begun to lift. It is considered a good omen, a calm sky, no wind to scatter the ashes of incense or disturb the banners hanging over the entry path. Before departing for the ceremony space, or before receiving your spouse's family into your home, there is one final moment of stillness. You are led to the tokonoma, the raised alcove in the main room. A scroll bearing a seasonal painting or Zen calligraphy hangs behind you. You kneel before it in silence. This moment is yours alone, not for guests, not even for family. You bow your head once, perhaps twice, and draw a deep breath. The air is cool and faintly fragrant with pine. There is nothing more to say. What comes next will be the ceremony itself, a series of words, bows, and sips of sake that will mark the beginning of your new role. But before that, you sit in this stillness. You carry the weight of centuries on your shoulders, the love of your family, the presence of your ancestors, and the breathless attention of every guest outside the door. And when you rise, it is not just to meet your future spouse. It is to carry your place in the unbroken line of tradition into the future. Long before the guests were invited, long before the matchmaker brought word of a marriage agreement, and long before you woke this morning to the careful silence of your household, the clothing you would wear today was already being considered. In feudal Japan, a wedding is not simply a contract of alliance and obedience, it is a performance of social stature, ritual precision, and reverence. Nowhere is that performance more visible than in the attire worn by bride and groom. Your clothing today is not something you dress into casually. It is constructed around you, layer by layer, in a slow and deliberate ceremony of its own. Attendants who have served your family for years arrive early with folded silks wrapped in rice paper and bundled into cedar chests that smell of time and preservation. Some of these garments were sewn specifically for this day. Others have passed through generations, worn by ancestors whose names are whispered as the layers are unfolded. The robes are not simply beautiful, they are sacred. They carry meaning, protection, identity. If you are the bride, your garments begin with a series of underrobes, white, soft, and perfectly aligned. Each one has been ironed by hand with warm stones, each seam checked. The first robe hugs your shoulders and falls past your ankles. A second is tied slightly higher, with its collar peaking just enough to create a layered effect that will remain visible beneath the outermost kimono. An assistant kneels before you as she secures the ties, not too tight, not too loose. Every bow is symmetrical, every fold mirrored from left to right. Over these robes, the shiromuku is draped, a gleaming white wedding kimono, so long it trails behind you like snow, unfurling across the tatami. The silk is not merely white, it shimmers with a faint blue sheen under candlelight, embroidered with hidden patterns, cranes, pine needles, waves. These designs are not decorative in the Western sense. They are symbols of permanence, loyalty, and endurance. The crane mates for life. The pine never sheds its color. The waves carry you forward, from one family into another. On your head, the water boshi is placed, a soft, rounded hood that shields your face in partial veil. It sways gently as you turn your head. In public, you will keep your eyes lowered behind this hood, not in shame, but in humility. Tradition teaches that on the wedding day, the bride should not dazzle, not boast, but remain composed, restrained, until she enters her new home. For wealthier families, or those of higher status, a sunokakushi might be chosen instead, a stiffer, white headdress that flattens the hair and is said to hide the bride's horns of jealousy, symbolizing her obedience and virtue as she joins the groom's household. The hair beneath the hood is sculpted in the traditional shimada style, pulled into an elegant knot adorned with combs and pins. These hair ornaments, kanzashi, are often gold-plated, inlaid with mother of pearl, coral, or tortoiseshell. They catch the light like frozen droplets. Some kanzashi are shaped like flowers in seasonal bloom. Others depict cranes, fans, or auspicious characters. The number and placement of ornaments reflect your family's taste and wealth, but never to excess. Refinement, in this context, is measured by restraint. If you are the groom, your attire is no less steeped in custom. You begin with a white underkimono and a formal black monsuki. The monsuki is perhaps the most formal garment in a samurai man's wardrobe, worn only on significant occasions. It bears the family crest, called amon, in 5 precise locations, 1 on the back, 1 on each sleeve, and 1 on each side of the chest. These crests, often simple in design but rich in legacy, are symbols of identity and pride. To wear the crest of your house in front of guests, elders, and your new in-laws is to step fully into the role expected of you. Beneath the mansuki, you wear a hakama, a pleated, skirt-like trouser that wraps around the waist and falls in elegant lines to your ankles. The hakama may be striped in subtle grays or blues, depending on region and custom, or solid black for utmost formality. Over the ensemble, a haori jacket is added, tied at the chest with braided cords that hang in twin loops. Like the bride's attire, the groom's is not meant to draw attention through brightness, but through dignity. You are expected to look calm, confident, and composed, not flamboyant. At your side may hang a short ceremonial sword, a wakizashi, though this is not always the case. It is symbolic, not meant for use, but worn as a mark of your station. In some families, it is handed down through generations. Its scabbard, lacquered, the blade wrapped in layers of cloth and reverence. The sword is both a reminder and a promise that you will protect your new household and that you are prepared to uphold the code of your ancestors. Together, the bride and groom are walking emblems of their family's values. Their clothing is a language older than speech, read easily by guests who understand the significance of each detail. The texture of the fabric, the precision of the knotwork, the color choices, these are all messages. This is not just a wedding. It is a social presentation, a moment in which two clans declare themselves before the eyes of the gods and the community. As you step into the formal chamber where the ceremony will take place, your movements are guided by the weight and balance of your clothing. You do not stride, you glide. You do not speak, you bow. You do not merely arrive, you appear, transformed by silk, by custom, by centuries of tradition, stitched into every thread. And though the garments will one day be removed, folded, and returned to their chests, their presence today will mark you forever. You are no longer just a son or daughter. You are husband, wife, one half of a whole, forged not through passion or accident, but through duty and design. Your clothing, like your role, has been measured, fitted, and completed. And as the ceremony begins, and the first sips of sake are shared, those folds of silk whisper softly around your feet, reminding you that you carry not just yourself, but your entire lineage into this new life. The house is quiet now, but it is no longer still. The hour of ceremony approaches, and throughout the estate, the rhythm of ritual begins to pulse softly beneath every movement. There is no rush, but there is motion, a sense that something sacred is about to unfold. Inside, your clothing is in place, your posture rehearsed, and your spirit prepared. The attendants have stepped back. Elders have offered their final blessings. Outside footsteps can be heard on stone. The journey to the ceremonial site is about to begin. If you are the bride, and the marriage is to take place at the groom's residence, as was common in many households, you are not to walk the path alone. A formal procession has been arranged, one that reflects the social standing of both families. Your own kin do not merely accompany you, they present you to the neighborhood, to the ancestors, and to the world. If the groom is from a prominent samurai family or a wealthy merchant line, the procession may wind its way from one village sector to another, attended by dozens of participants, porters, matchmakers, musicians, and guards. It begins with the sound of sandals brushing against stone, a soft percussion carried by the breeze. Then come the attendants carrying the wedding trousseau in lacquered boxes, suspended by wooden poles across their shoulders. Some items are purely symbolic, cranes and turtles carved into the box lids, representing longevity and fidelity. Others contain clothing, tools for household labor, or small gifts from the bride's family to the groom's. Each box is tied with braided silk cords, often red and white, colors believed to protect against misfortune and to attract auspicious energy. Walking at the head of the line is the Nakodo, the matchmaker, bearing a ceremonial fan and an expression of calm authority. Their role has not diminished. If anything, they are now the embodiment of harmony, the one who ensured this day would come to pass. They will oversee the behavior of the party, manage timing, and, in some cases, speak during the ceremony itself to guide both households through their parts. Behind them, a musician or two may walk slowly, playing gentle notes on a bamboo flute or striking a small drum in rhythm with the steps of the group. If you are the bride, you follow closely behind, flanked by senior female relatives or designated attendants. Your head is lowered beneath the wataboshi, your steps short and even. The white silk of your robe shimmers beneath the open sky, and your long train is held off the ground by a maid trained for this purpose alone. You do not glance to the side. Your expression is composed. In this moment, you are a bridge between two homes, between maidenhood and marriage, between the past and the future. The gravity of the journey is visible in every slow step forward. Spectators may watch as you pass through village lanes or down the main road of a castle town. Some bow, others remain still, watching in silence. A few children may giggle or whisper before being hushed. All understand that this is not a public spectacle. It is a sacred passage. Even among the lower classes, weddings are honored as turning points in the fabric of communal life. And among the warrior and merchant castes, such a procession carries great weight. It is a demonstration of lineage, of honor, and of the delicate machinery of status. If, instead, the wedding takes place at a neutral location, such as a shrine or a temple, the journey to the site carries a slightly different tone, though no less reverent. In these cases, both parties may arrive separately, but be joined within the sacred grounds under the guidance of the officiant. In such settings, the environment itself contributes to the atmosphere. Towering cedar trees, stone lanterns flecked with moss, and the sound of water trickling through distant channels or nearby springs. The shrine courtyard becomes a space between worlds, a place where ordinary rules are paused so that spiritual order may be observed. If you are the groom, your entrance is marked by equal care. You do not walk at the head of a parade, but you do not simply wait inside either. You arrive at the appropriate moment, sometimes flanked by your father or an elder male relative, depending on the customs of your region. You do not greet the bride upon her arrival. You wait, standing in a side room or ceremonial hallway, eyes forward, back straight, listening for the moment your presence will be required. There is no eagerness, no outward display of emotion. A wedding is not a celebration of passion, it is a declaration of responsibility. As both parties arrive at the ceremonial site, there is a careful moment of transition. The families are not yet united. That will come after the ceremony. For now, attendants guide each party to separate waiting areas. The atmosphere grows even quieter. Incense may be lit, its curling tendrils drifting toward the open air. Tatami mats have been swept. Low tables are arranged for ritual implements. A white cloth covers the ceremonial altar, and 3 shallow sake cups wait beside a tray of folded paper charms. Each object has been placed with precision. There is no clutter, no accidents. Guests arrive quietly, taking their seats according to status and relation. The room fills slowly, without chatter. Eyes glance respectfully at the bride's procession as it enters, and again when the groom appears. Elders nod. Friends keep their hands folded in their sleeves. The matchmaker takes their place between both parties. Soon, the officiant, whether a Shinto priest, a family elder, or a temple monk, will step forward and begin the ancient rites. But before that, in the hush of transition, you feel the full weight of the day settle over you. Whether you are the bride, veiled and composed beneath layers of silk, or the groom, standing beneath the watchful eyes of your ancestors, the world around you has fallen into place with quiet symmetry. The journey is not long in distance. It may have taken less than an hour, but in meaning, it stretches back through generations and forward into the unknown. You have crossed the threshold of childhood. You have walked the narrow space between independence and union. You have stepped into the rhythm of a tradition older than memory. And now, within the ceremony hall, with family seated, sake waiting, and silence deepening, you prepare to take your place, not alone, but bound to another. Your footsteps will be remembered, not because of where they led, but because of how they honored the path. The room is still. There is no speaking now, only the soft rustle of silk as the attendants complete their final checks and withdraw into the shadows. Incense curls upward from a small bronze dish placed at the corner of the altar. Its scent is dry, ancient, and clean. Cedar and sandalwood blend into the air, rising toward the exposed wooden rafters above you. The light is filtered through paper screens and flickering oil lamps, casting a golden warmth across the floor. You kneel, back straight, posture fixed. The wedding ceremony is about to begin. If you are the bride, you remain seated slightly behind and to the left of the officiating space, head gently lowered beneath your white veil. You do not yet lift your eyes. This is a moment of reverence. The world beyond the ceremony has been set aside. No sound comes from outside. It is as if the universe has quieted itself to make room for what is about to unfold. Across from you, the groom kneels with similar stillness, his houri jacket straight, his crest visible to all. His expression is calm, measured, not emotionless, but contained. You have not yet addressed one another directly. That time comes soon. The officiant steps forward, barefoot across the straw mats. In some households, this is a senior family elder or a temple monk. In others, especially those of more affluent lineages, it may be a Shinto priest dressed in layered white and green robes, his head adorned with a formal hat. He carries no scroll. There is no long sermon. Instead, there are gestures, pauses, and phrases spoken in a cadence as old as the rite itself. Before the vows, there are offerings. The officiant turns to the small altar where symbolic items have been arranged. Bowls of polished rice, small dishes of salt and dried kelp, sprigs of evergreen. He bows deeply and claps his hands twice, sharply, waking the spirits of the place kami who dwell in the sacred trees, in the earth, in the memory of the ancestors. The silence that follows is not empty, it is expectant. You feel the weight of eyes, unseen, watching, not with judgment, but with awareness. He speaks a blessing then, words meant to protect the bond being formed, and to call peace into the household it will build. If this is a Shinto ceremony, he may offer a narito, a formal prayer spoken in a language unchanged for centuries. The rhythm is slow and deliberate. It does not need to be fully understood to be felt. The sound of it settles over you like a warm cloth, wrapping around your shoulders, binding the present to the past. Then comes the central ritual, Sansen. The 3x3 sake ritual is the spiritual heart of the wedding, a silent exchange of vows made through gesture rather than speech. Before you, a low lacquered stand holds 3 Sakazuki shallow cups of increasing size, each nested inside the other. An attendant steps forward, carrying a long-necked sake vessel, and fills the smallest cup with care. They kneel, present the tray, and withdraw without sound. The groom lifts the smallest cup first, holding it with both hands. He tilts the vessel toward his lips and takes a small sip, then another, then a third. 3 sips, 3 movements, each slow and precise. He returns the cup to the tray, and it is refilled. The tray is passed to the bride. You repeat the same gesture. 3 sips, no words. The sake is dry and smooth. It is not meant for pleasure. It is meant to bind, to acknowledge sweetness and bitterness alike. This sequence repeats for the second and third cups. Always 3 sips, always alternating between bride and groom. The number 9, created through 3 repetitions of 3, holds deep meaning, symbolizing longevity, completeness, and connection. The ritual is intimate, yet entirely public. Everyone watches, not out of curiosity, but in reverence. They are witnessing your unity, not through declaration, but through action. After the cups are returned, a short, formal exchange may take place. You do not speak freely, but rather affirm the joining of your families in a few ceremonial phrases, spoken with measured dignity. In some households, the fathers of each family may rise and make their own statements. These are not speeches of joy, but words of solemn gratitude and responsibility. A marriage in feudal Japan is not a performance of affection. It is a contract of honor, and the spoken words reflect that tone. The officiant then produces a ceremonial paper, perhaps a wedding certificate, or a written record to be placed in the family archive. It is read aloud, noting the names of both households, the date, and the location. It is not elaborate. There is no need for embellishment. Your names alone, paired for the first time in ink, carry more meaning than any poem. You and your spouse are now formally united. There is no announcement, no applause, just a slight shift in posture, the subtle exhale of held breath, the stillness of completion. You bow again, first to the altar, then to the elders of each family. The guests bow in return, some deeper than others, depending on rank and age. The officiant steps back, allowing the moment to settle like falling dust. In this space, you are no longer what you were. The change is not visible to the eye, but it is felt. It lives in the silence between you and the person beside you, in the warmth of shared sake, in the resonance of old prayers spoken beneath wooden beams. As the ceremony concludes, the attendants return, collecting the ritual objects with gentle hands. The altar is left intact, its offerings to remain through the night. You rise slowly, supported by those who know how to lift without disturbing the flow of robes or the rhythm of the moment. Together, you turn toward the exit, not walking fast, not lingering, just moving forward, as all married couples must. Outside the ceremony room, guests begin to stir. Some whisper to one another, heads bowed in conversation. Others remain seated, reflecting. Your path continues now, not as to individuals from separate households, but as one unit, recognized by both families and the spirits that witnessed your bond. The feast awaits, along with celebration. but for now, you carry the stillness of the ritual inside you. The ceremony may have been brief by modern standards, but in this time and place, its brevity is its power. It does not need excess. The rite is older than the room itself, deeper than the family lines that brought you here. And now you are part of that lineage, part of the pattern woven into the fabric of a tradition that stretches backward like a long, unbroken thread. What has been joined cannot be unspoken. You walk now as husband and wife. As the ceremony concludes and the formal bows are offered, you and your spouse are gently guided toward the next space, the hall where the wedding feast awaits. The transition from solemn ritual to celebratory gathering is not abrupt. There is no outburst of clapping or shouting, no sudden swell of music. Instead, the change in atmosphere unfolds gradually, like the soft unfolding of a scroll. The air remains composed, but there is a noticeable lightness now, a release of breath. The weight of duty has been fulfilled, and in its place, a quiet joy begins to stir. The reception hall is larger, with more light. Shoji doors have been drawn open to reveal a view of the garden. If the season is spring, cherry blossoms flutter down like confetti, their pale petals dusting the stone path. In autumn, maple leaves catch the low afternoon sun in tones of crimson and amber. The garden outside is not merely a backdrop, it is an extension of the celebration, a reminder of natural harmony. Just as the seasons turn, so too does life. You are no longer who you were this morning. You enter the space together, not side by side, as equals in the modern sense, but in measured step, with clear roles and understanding. Low tables, arranged in a horseshoe or long rectangle, depending on the size of the party, are set with fine lacquerware, porcelain bowls, and folded fans. Each guest has a designated place, arranged by rank and relationship to the couple. The elders are closest to the head table. Junior members of the family sit farther away. A few close family friends may have been invited, but in feudal Japan, weddings are typically family-centered. Public displays of extravagance are discouraged, even among the wealthier castes. Instead, refinement and subtlety are prized. You and your spouse take your seats at the place of honor. An attendant brings a hot towel and a fresh cup of tea. Before the food is served, a formal toast is made. This is offered by the nakodo, or a senior elder, who stands with measured grace, raises a sakazuki, and recites a few short lines of well-wishing. These are not humorous anecdotes or personal stories. They are words of endurance, loyalty, and prosperity. A prayer for a long union, a hope that both households will flourish through this alliance. Once the toast is complete, the feast begins. The first course is small and symbolic, often a clear soup with a seasonal vegetable or a steamed custard dish served in a delicate lidded bowl. From there, the courses unfold slowly, each one part of a culinary arc crafted not only for flavor, but for aesthetic harmony. The meal is not served all at once. It is paced with quiet intervals in between, allowing for appreciation and conversation. It is considered rude to eat too quickly or too greedily. Every bite is taken with care. Sake flows in measured streams. It is not guzzled, but poured respectfully from one guest to another. In this tradition, one does not pour one's own drink. You wait for someone to pour for you and return the favor. This exchange is a subtle dance of courtesy and attentiveness. Across the table, elders nod approvingly when younger family members remember to bow before pouring, to use both hands, to hold the cup steady. These gestures, small though they may seem, are marks of good upbringing and family honor. The dishes served reflect the resources and status of your household. In a samurai family, the food may include grilled river fish, vinegared vegetables, pickled plums, and thinly sliced beef or boar. Rice, naturally, is a staple, served plain, not to distract from the delicacies accompanying it. There may be sweetened egg, stewed root vegetables, or a rare luxury like sea bream, prepared whole with the head and tail intact to represent wholeness and continuity. In merchant families, where trade connections allow for more exotic goods, dishes might include rare mushrooms, delicately folded dumplings, or even dried persimmons imported from afar. But no matter the variety, the meal is arranged for visual appeal as much as for taste. Each dish is served on a different plate or tray, its colors chosen to echo the season and the occasion. A bright red pickled plum may sit beside a pale green sprig of fern. A ceramic bowl might be decorated with gold-leafed cranes, or a simple wave pattern that complements the chopstick rest beside it. Between courses, the entertainment begins. In some households, there may be music played quietly on the shamisen, its three-stringed tone resonating in the corners of the room. If the family is particularly well connected, a no performer or a classical dancer may be invited to present a short piece. The performance is not long or theatrical in the modern sense. It is controlled, precise, imbued with formality and restraint. A slow turn of the wrist, a measured tap of the drum. Every movement has purpose. In other weddings, particularly among wealthier merchant families in the cities, a haiku poet or storyteller might be invited to recite a composition written for the couple. These are not humorous tales, but refined verses that speak of fidelity, seasonal imagery, and the quiet strength of a long union. Sometimes, a short parable is shared, perhaps about cranes that mate for life, or bamboo that bends in the wind but never breaks. Guests listen, sipping sake, nodding quietly in appreciation. If the groom is from a warrior family, a sword dance or a demonstration of martial elegance may be arranged, more symbolic than aggressive, performed not to intimidate but to honor the lineage and ideals of discipline, courage, and balance. Throughout the banquet, the bride remains composed, eating little, speaking only when addressed. Her smile is gentle, her posture impeccable. The groom likewise maintains a restrained dignity, acknowledging toasts and listening attentively. This is not a time for public affection or laughter. The joy here is subtle, contained within the folds of robes, the soft click of porcelain, the measured bow. When the final course is served, often a sweet dish made with red bean, rice, flour, or a mild fruit, the mood softens further. The guests grow more relaxed, though never informal. Some stand and offer short words of praise. A father may rise and speak of his pride. A mother may quietly wipe her eyes with the corner of her sleeve. These gestures, though few in number, carry immense weight. The entire feast is a lesson in emotional restraint, in composure, in the art of saying much with little. As the evening fades, lanterns are lit and placed outside to guide the path of the departing guests. Before they leave, many will approach the newlyweds and bow deeply, offering their blessings not with long speeches, but with a glance, a phrase, or a gift folded into silk. You and your spouse bow in return, your backs bent with gratitude. The feast has concluded, but the marriage is just beginning. And as the night deepens, the music fades. and the attendants begin to clear the tables. The quiet harmony of the day lingers in the air, like incense that continues to glow even after the flame has gone out. The feast has ended. The guests have slowly drifted away from the hall, their voices soft, their footsteps padded against stone. Outside, the lanterns flicker low in the evening air, swaying gently with the wind that moves through the trees. You and your spouse, dressed still in your ceremonial garments, stand beneath the eaves as the last of the honored visitors bow and make their way home. Their silhouettes disappear beyond the gate, past the hanging katamutsu decorations, and into the shadows of the narrow lane. Within the house, the atmosphere has shifted again. It is not festive, not ceremonial, but something in between, quiet, subdued, private. The silence is respectful, not expectant. In this society, in this time, there is no overt discussion of the wedding night. There are no jokes or teasing words, no intrusive glances from relatives. Instead, there is preparation, deliberate, careful, and subtle. Your attendants return to you, guiding you through the final steps of the evening. If you are the bride, the long uchikaki, your outer robe, resplendent in white silk and embroideries carefully removed. The process is almost reverent. An older female servant unties the sash and folds the garment as if it were sacred scripture. Underneath, you wear lighter layers, still beautiful, but simpler. A white cassode, soft and fitted, designed for sleeping. Your elaborate hairstyle remains intact, at least for now. Your makeup, powdered face, rouge on the lips, kohl at the brows, gently refreshed, but not entirely removed. You are to meet your husband in a state of composed readiness, not disarray. If you are the groom, your formal howry is taken from your shoulders with equal care. You are dressed now in a softer robe, perhaps a subdued blue or gray, with a simple mon at the back. The change in clothing does not mark a lessening of dignity, only a shift in occasion. The staff moves quietly around you, never meeting your eyes for longer than necessary, speaking in hushed tones as they arrange the futon bedding in the next room. The sleeping quarters have been prepared since earlier in the day, but only now are they completed. The futons are laid side by side, atop thick layers of padding, covered in crisp cotton. The floor has been swept, and the incense changed, this time a lighter scent of plum blossom and green tea. A low brazier glows in the corner, offering a gentle warmth against the cool of night. The room is sparse, as all traditional Japanese rooms are, but nothing is lacking. Tatami, shoji scroll, lantern, that is all. In some households, particularly among the samurai class, an elder relative, usually female, may offer a final word before the couple retires. These words are not spoken in jest, nor are they explicit. Instead, they are symbolic phrases, advice about patience, kindness, and understanding. Sometimes, the elder presents a small item, such as a folded paper charm or a length of red string, meant to ensure harmony and fertility. The bride bows low, the elder steps back. No further comment is made. When the time comes to enter the room, there is no formal announcement. No one watches. An attendant lights the final lanterns and closes the shoji doors behind you. The quiet is enveloping. It feels as though the entire household is holding its breath, not in tension, but in reverence for the crossing of this final threshold. You sit first. Neither of you speaks immediately. Conversation is minimal, but not absent. Perhaps a polite word is exchanged. a simple acknowledgement of the day's events. In feudal Japan, marriage is not expected to begin with affection. It begins with respect. You are learning each other, studying the lines of your faces in the flickering lantern light. The dynamic between you may have been established already through family negotiations, but now the relationship begins to take on its own shape. For many couples in this era, the wedding night is not a moment of passion, but of observation and consideration. In arranged marriages, which are the norm among the samurai and upper merchant classes, this is often the first private moment between husband and wife. It may be awkward, it may be entirely formal, but it is not without feeling. The connection begins not with physicality, but with presence, to people seated in silence, acknowledging the union that has been made. If the marriage is especially high-ranking, a servant may remain just outside the room, available if needed, but they do not enter. Privacy is respected, even in a society where communal life dominates. What happens in the wedding chamber is no one's concern but yours. The bedding, though simple in appearance, is considered important. The placement of the pillows, the quality of the cotton, the warmth of the blankets, all are seen as reflections of the care the household offers to the newlyweds. A well-prepared chamber is a sign of fortune. In some cases, special charms or folded origami cranes are tucked beneath the futon as symbols of blessing. If the couple is expected to produce heirs, such gestures are especially important. There is no expectation that the marriage must be consummated immediately. In many households, particularly when the bride is very young, or if the match was made for political reasons, the wedding night may pass with nothing more than shared space and quiet company. The bond grows in layers, in time, and even if intimacy does occur, it is private, unstated, and treated with dignity by all who serve the household. What matters most this evening is not the act, but the gesture, the recognition that two lives, once separate, now share a future. You lie side by side, the paper screens casting soft silhouettes on the floor. The fire dims, the air grows cool. Somewhere outside, a nightingale sings in the pine trees, its cry soft and low. And as you close your eyes, whether in rest or contemplation, you feel the enormity of the day settle into the space between you, not heavy, but firm. You are no longer a guest in your spouse's household. You are a part of it now. The rice you eat tomorrow will be shared. The duties to end in the months and years to come. The seasons will turn, just as the petals fell outside the hall this afternoon. But tonight is still. It is not a grand finale, nor a dramatic beginning. It is a breath held between what was and what will be. And in that breath, you learn the most important lesson of all, that marriage in this world is not a moment of brightness, but a slow kindling of light, quiet, enduring, and unseen by anyone but the two who carry it. Morning comes not with alarm or urgency, but with the soft creak of wooden beams warming in the early sun. The paper screens glow faintly as the first rays of daylight spill across the garden and slip through the room. There is a breeze outside, barely audible, rustling the bamboo stalks and setting the wind chimes into gentle motion. A distant temple bell chimes, slow and resonant, marking the hour. The stillness of the previous night begins to lift, and with it, the new day begins. You wake in a space that feels at once familiar and unfamiliar. The bedding is neatly arranged, just as it was the night before, though an attendant has likely peeked in already and taken mental note of your rest. Your robe has been folded beside your pillow. A small tray now waits at the edge of the room, bearing a warm towel and a bowl of gently steamed rice porridge, seasoned lightly with pickled plum and a few slivers of daikon radish. The gesture is not intrusive. It is not a celebration. It is a quiet acknowledgement that today you begin a different life. If you are the bride, the white clothing you wore yesterday has been taken away, already folded into cedar-lined boxes, perhaps to be stored or passed down. In its place, your maid has laid out a new kimono, still formal, but not bridal. The color is soft, perhaps a pale lavender or soft brown, depending on the season. There may be embroidery along the sleeves, discreet but elegant. This is your first robe as a married woman. The cut, the design, the way your hair is styled this morning, it all reflects your new role. You no longer carry the maiden's veil. You are now part of another house, another name. Your first task is to pay respect. You are led through the house, now awake with the murmur of servants and the distant clang of cooking pots. The household is returning to rhythm, but not without first recognizing what has changed. A few steps from the sleeping chamber, you are brought before the family altar. Their incense is lit. You kneel and bow low, offering thanks to the ancestors, those of your birth family and those of your new one. A small offering is made. Steamed rice, a dried chestnut, perhaps a coin. These gestures bind your presence to the spirit of the household, asking for guidance, protection, and acceptance. If you are the groom, you too will visit the altar. You will bow, silently acknowledging the weight now resting on your shoulders. As the eldest son or heir, this role may carry with it specific duties to your parents, to the estate, to the family business or rank. Even if you are a younger son, your responsibilities have changed. Marriage is not just about emotion. It is the entry point into full adult participation in your clan's affairs. Your decisions now affect more than just yourself. After the altar, you take your first meal together. It is not a private moment, but neither is it public. You and your spouse are seated at a low table in a side room or garden-facing chamber. The food is simple: warm rice, miso soup with soft tofu, dried fish, or a slice of rolled omelette. Your bowls match, laid out in quiet symmetry. You eat slowly, eyes lowered. Words may be exchanged, but they are sparse. This is not a time for reflection on love or dreams. It is a moment of stillness before the broader world calls you into its fold. Once the meal is complete, formal introductions begin. Members of the groom's family, his mother, perhaps his grandmother, and elder sisters approach the bride. Their greetings are not effusive. No one embraces. Instead, they bow, offer kind words, and speak in quiet tones about duty, responsibility, and harmony. The bride bows in return. In some homes, she offers a small gift: a fan, a folded silk cloth, a length of embroidered thread, as a symbol of goodwill and humility. The women of the household may offer advice, not in long speeches, but in measured phrases passed on in between sips of tea. These moments are important. They signal the bride's acceptance into the inner world of the house, not as an outsider, but as a contributing member. She is now expected to understand the rhythms of the kitchen, the requirements of the laundry, the habits of the head of the household. Even if she has servants or maids beneath her rank, she must oversee the smooth running of her new home. She is no longer a guest. The groom, likewise, meets with his father or other male elders, depending on the family's social position. This may include discussions about inheritance, business arrangements, or community expectations. A samurai groom might be reminded of his duty to continue martial training, to attend court, or to maintain the family's honor through discipline and leadership. A merchant groom might begin to learn the ledgers, the patterns of trade, the value of various goods. He is expected to work, not simply to inherit. Throughout the day, small signs of transition mark your new identity. You are addressed differently. You are treated with greater formality by servants. You are offered a say in household matters that were once beyond your concern. And yet, there is no sudden transformation. You are not elevated to some grand pedestal. You are folded into the workings of the house, gently, like another layer of silk in an already complex tapestry. In the evening, you may write a letter to your birth family. This message is brief, written with a brush and ink, expressing your gratitude, your safe arrival, and your hope that both families remain bound in good fortune. A servant delivers it by hand. It is likely your parents have already received word from the matchmaker or an elder who attended the wedding, but your handwriting, now signed with your new name, is what truly confirms the passage. If there are siblings still at home, they may send gifts in return, items made by hand, or food preserved from the family garden. These exchanges continue for several weeks, maintaining the invisible bridge between two households, even as the bride settles into her new role. And so, the first full day of married life in feudal Japan concludes not with fanfare, but with rhythm. You do not bask in adoration or retreat into seclusion. You begin to live. Your hands begin to learn the household routines. Your voice is heard differently in the family hall. You and your spouse sleep in the same room now. And though you may still be strangers in many ways, the silence between you is less rigid. You pour tea for one another. You bow together. You begin to move in harmony. Outside, the garden darkens again. The lanterns are lit as they were the night before, and the shoshi doors slide shut against the wind. You sit on the edge of the veranda, your legs tucked beneath you, and listen to the world as it carries on. Roosters calling from a nearby farm, water trickling from a stone basin, the low murmur of the kitchen staff preparing tomorrow's rice. And as the moon rises, casting its glow across the tiled roofs and wooden beams, you realize that this day, like the one before it, has passed without spectacle, but not without meaning. You have begun a life that is not yours alone. And in this time, in this place, that is what marriage truly means. To belong, not just to one another, but to something larger, something enduring.